Welcome back to another video, and in this video I am with my good friend Brandon, and we are actually here in his Turo operation, and Brandon has 150 cars on Turo, and we're about to give you an entire tour of the operation. We're gonna break down a lot of the cars that he has, what cars are best, what the profitability looks like, and ultimately how he got to where he's at in the Turo business. So Brandon, I appreciate you letting us tour your operation here.
Sounds like some fun.
Yeah, so we're here in kind of the main area, and I just walked through the door here, and what an operation you have. I mean, like, this is really cool.
Yeah, so this is our customer lounge, so people will come earlier to pick up their car or leave late. They have a place, a nice place to sit, relax. We've got beverages, a pool table, I think they're 90-inch TVs to just hang out and be comfortable.
Dude, you got like the full thing over here. I mean, you practically have like a little wet bar.
Yeah.
I love
the alcohol.
And I'm sure this is important to have when you get to the scale that you're at, right? You know, we're right by the airport.
Yeah.
And having people be able to come, I think, can't they even drop their keys off outside?
Yeah, we have a spot where they can just come at any hour of the night to drop off keys. We actually have some vehicles as well that they can pick up at any hour of the day.
Wow.
So the keys are in it. They'll just go on the app, reserve it, and they'll give them a digital key to get into the car. Keys are in it, and they're off and running.
That is really cool. And we'll have to talk in a little while about like what qualifies a car to be able to, you know, pick it up at any hour of the day, right? I'm sure that you're probably not doing that with the Huracan or the Ferrari.
Yeah, it's a capability of the vehicle. Some have it, some don't.
Got it.
But
so
probably
it has nothing to do with the cost of the car?
Not necessarily. It's just a technology thing. Some cars have the capability through apps that they're connected to lock and unlock them. As long as you can get on that app, then we can hack into it of sorts and give them a digital key.
I love that.
But yeah, not going to leave the Ferrari or Lambo outside in the middle of the night there.
Well, in a little while, we're going to go into your office and we're going to break down some numbers, and we're going to, you know, break down the entire business, obviously, for everybody. But before we do that, I want to go out into your showroom.
Sure.
And I want to take a look at the operation you have out there. So why don't we
let's go see what we got in
the
garage.
All right, Brandon, so, you know, walking into your kind of showroom here, is that what we call it, the showroom out here?
Yeah, this is, we call this the vroom vroom room.
The vroom vroom, I love that.
We'll have to post a sign on the...
So America's Motors is the name of your company, right?
Yep, America's Motors.
How cool is that, man? And obviously behind us, we've got the massive American flag. Dude, that is a big American flag.
It's the biggest one I could find that would fit in that space, obviously. So we're very patriotic here,
So this is where you take pictures of all your cars, right? And I can't help to notice that you have a Fiat here, a Fiat here, a Fiat here, and you told me just before we were filming you have 50 of them.
50.
Oh my gosh.
50.
So I want to break down the Fiat game really quick, right? Like, what can you pick up a Fiat for?
The cheapest Fiat that I've got that's active in our fleet right now was $1,700.
Holy cow.
All the way up to 10,000. You can buy them for more, but that's the sweet spot for me. The more money, the less miles, but and they're just really easy to maintain. It was a system of trial and error. You know, you buy after 2 years, you buy cars that don't work and go, oh, let's get something else, and then you find a couple that do, and you sprinkle gasoline on it. So Fiats have been the ones for me.
Fiat is the move, right? So what does a Fiat rent for on average?
They're not very expensive cars to rent. It's a $25 to $40 a day car, depending on the time of week and the season. Right now is our slow season, so they're $25 a day.
Wow. And you have 50 of them, and I'm only seeing 3. Well, we got one over here. We'll talk about that in a minute. So let's just go ahead and make our way over here for a minute. First and foremost, I noticed that we have a beautiful McLaren here. That is the MP?
MP4-12.
MP4-12. So older McLaren, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. What year is that?
It's a 2012
Okay.
But it doesn't look like your standard McLaren because it's got a wrap on it and some custom wheels.
Dude, that is a beautiful wrap. Like,
So-
it changes colors depending on where I'm like looking at it at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We bought it like that. Typically doesn't make sense to wrap a car for Turo, but we bought it like that and it's actually done pretty good.
Really?
Yeah.
And so I know you have a 458 or a 488.
Yep.
Okay, and that is not here, so that went out.
You saw it yesterday
I
in
did,
Scottsdale in
yep.
your neck of the woods. Yeah.
And then you have a green, a lime green. Is it a Huracan?
It's a Huracan.
A Huracan.
Yep.
Okay. And is that out too right now?
It's actually getting maintenance done, and it's the color is Ithaca Verde. It's that pearl green, and that is the top grossing car on Turo in Arizona last year and so far this year.
In all of Arizona.
In all of Arizona, it's a very popular car.
What year is that Huracan?
That is a 2018, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is the best month you've ever had with that Huracan, if you don't mind me asking?
25,000.
25.
Yeah.
Wow. Gross revenue, obviously.
Yeah, gross.
Okay.
Yep.
And we'll break down all the
Yep.
numbers here in a little while. That is pretty crazy.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I've had months with 0.
Of course. Hey there, thank you for tuning into the content of this channel. Since you're here real quick, you know I'm a real estate guy, right? I've been wholesaling real estate since 2014, and that's about a decade, right? And I've done a little over 2,000 wholesale deals all over the country in that time. And for a long time, I've had people reach out via DM, via email, and in the comments section asking if I offered mentorship or education or any sort of group training. And for the longest time, I turned everybody down because my focus was to be one of the top wholesalers in the nation. And that day is finally here. My company pretty much runs on autopilot, and my organization does, at a very minimum, 1 to 2 wholesale deals every single day. And that is why I'm so excited to announce our new private coaching program, Flippin' Simple. So whether you're looking to wholesale your very first deal, or you're already doing a handful of deals a month and you're looking to scale, I've put together a waiting list so that you can be one of the very first people to find out when the program drops. Spots are of course limited, so go ahead and click the link down below to be a part of the wait list, and somebody on my team will reach out to see if you're a good fit. Now let's go ahead and get back to the video. We actually have a car that you just picked up recently. You talked about how much you love that car.
I did, I love it.
That is the Mercedes, what is that one?
It's a S580E.
Okay.
So these just came out. It's probably, one of the first 100 to be out and about on the streets. Wow. But it's a mix between gas and electric. It'll go 60 miles on electric.
Holy cow.
So just happens to be the perfect distance from my house, so I can get here and back on without any gas. So.
I love that. Yeah. And we talked before about the best car that you have, or maybe even not the best car, but your most favorite car.
Okay.
And that being, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
We've got the Corvette over here.
Yep.
Okay, talk to me about the Corvette. Like, I know you told me, you're like, Austin, like, that is my most favorite car. Like, why is that?
This is the funnest car of all 150 that we have to drive. It's 650 horse with 650 pound-feet of torque. It's a convertible, it's loud, it growls. It's just a fun driving experience. But when I started on Turo a little over 2 years ago, this was my personal car. And I made the decision to put it on Turo, and so far right now is our longest running car on Turo.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're telling me, because I just want to make sure I understand this, that right there, that Corvette is more fun to drive than the Huracan, the 488 Italia, the Rolls Royce, the Plaid.
My personal opinion.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah, my personal
Rear wheel drive, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So you've got to love that, right?
Yep.
The American muscle.
Yep.
And what did you pick that car up for? Do you remember?
I bought this car brand new. It's the last year of this body style, 2019, for $92,000.
Wow.
Out the door.
And you've probably made roughly, how much do you think
I've made over 90 grand on the car.
So the car is completely paid for itself.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, truly incredible.
Yeah.
Right? And how many Corvettes do you actually have now?
Corvettes have been pretty popular for us. People love them. We get a lot of great days of the year with good weather here. So we've got 2 Z06s and then another 8 or so Stingrays.
Dude, you've got a lot.
Yeah.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
I want to talk really quick about the Rolls Royce.
Okay.
How many Rolls Royces do you own?
So we've got this Dawn and we have a Wraith that's out on a trip right now.
And is your favorite the Dawn or the Wraith?
I like the Wraith because it has the Starlight headliner, which is a really unique experience. But this Dawn with a convertible and the big wheels and black on white, is probably my favorite.
What size wheels are on this?
These on a car are 26-inch wheels, and it
You've
still
gotta love
drives
that.
smooth.
You wouldn't be able to put that size wheel on like any other car that I can think of.
No, I remember a time when that was considered too big for an SUV. Now it's on a car.
Pretty crazy. And I love Rolls Royces. I think they are classy and they're elegant.
Yeah.
A beautiful car. What
Yeah.
type of person would typically come into town and rent the Rolls?
You know, we've had professional ball players, a lot of them. They love this car. Wealthy business people. It's a popular car for weddings, as a getaway car after a wedding.
I see like I picture a photo shoot where they're like up here
Yeah.
on the back.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, we've actually had people send in photos after their wedding of them with the car, so really, really cool.
Yeah.
Just a really unique, fun car, and it has the suicide door, so it opens
Which
this
you've
way.
got to love.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got to love that. And obviously we've got the cigar lounge. You
Yeah.
have to have the cigar lounge.
Yep.
I think you said that was like a 7,000 cigar humidor.
Yes, it's called
Wow.
the Reagan,
Pretty wild.
and
Okay.
there's about
100.
20 cigars in there right now,
You
but
gotta
it'll
love
hold
it.
7,000.
So really quick, before we go into your office and we talk about a little bit of the numbers, what we have out here, obviously we've got, the Plaid, we've got the Bentley, the Maserati. How many G-Wagons do you own?
We've got 6 G-Wagons, 5 of the prior generation and 1 brand new one.
And you like the G-Wagon?
G-Wagons do good. SUVs historically don't hold their value very well, but this is kind of a niche thing. The G-Wagons, of all SUVs, even though they do depreciate, they hold their value the best.
One of a kind.
Which is a big factor you have to take into consideration on your P&L when you're running a Turo business. Eventually you got to sell the car.
Yeah.
What's it going to be worth?
And you have a detailed P&L for every car that you own.
So I manage 150 P&Ls just for this business. Yes.
Wow, pretty wild. So you're a numbers guy.
Very much so, yes.
I love
Very
that.
much so.
And real quick, you were telling me that you actually have a full-time mechanic.
Yeah.
And you've got 2 full-size car lifts.
Yep.
And a full-time mechanic. And so what does his kind of day-to-day typically look like?
A lot of preventative maintenance, oil changes. I mean, just imagine we've got 150 cars. All of them have to have oil changes, tire rotations, new tires, checking fluids. So all the way from basic maintenance to, he just finished, it's not here right now, but that Bentley GTC, he redid the transmission in it.
Oh, wow.
And you have to take the whole front end of the car off, drop the engine. It was a 2-week job. So we do pretty extensive work over here. We've got a tire machine, everything you can think of to maintain a car. So he's definitely stays busy.
Yeah, you have everything. You even have the grill over here. So it looks like maybe if he gets hungry, he's working on a car, he's changing the transmission, you can cook up some hot dogs and hamburgers.
Yeah, so Brendan is our mechanic. He's a self-proclaimed barbecue guy. So we're putting him to the test. We got him a barbecue to make us lunch.
I love that.
And so far, so good.
I love it. And then over here, we actually have, what would you call that? Like the detailing station?
Yeah, we just built a detail station. So they've got lighting. They can see what's going on in there. We've got vacuums in there. We've got an air hose so they can check tire pressures. And that way they just kind of come in, they go through a process, and then they go out.
Really cool. And I can't help to notice that you have a Sprinter van.
Yeah.
Why do you have I can't imagine you Turo that.
Well, yeah, it's, we bought one a while back. It did really good. And so now we've got 3 big vans, and we'll probably get a bunch more. There are restrictions with Turo where you can only have a certain number of seats in there. So we do have to take some seats out.
What is that number?
It's 8.
8, okay.
Yeah, they'll only allow 8 between
I
Turo
wonder
and
why
insurance.
that is.
It's an insurance thing, a liability thing. And but people are traveling, and even a full-size SUV, they can't fit everybody. So as opposed to getting 2 different cars, they'll just get one really big one.
Wow.
Fit a lot of luggage, and it's diesel.
Yeah.
And so they've been really popular.
That is awesome. Well, what I want to go ahead and do is I want to go into your office and I want to just sit down and I want to talk about a little bit of numbers. I know you're a numbers guy.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you showing me the showroom out here.
Cool, love it.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so here we are in your office. And by the way, dude, this is an awesome office.
Yeah, thank you.
The whole background you have here, man, like really, really cool. I'm totally digging it.
Yeah.
You got all the license plates up on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
I want to just talk about the Turo business, and obviously you're playing in the big leagues now. I mean, what would you say? You're top 5 in the nation?
We're number 2. Number 1 in Arizona, number 2 in the nation.
Wow.
And big gap between number 1 and 2, but so we're comfortably at number 2 for the moment. But yeah, there's most people that do Turo, they've just got an extra car that they rent out on the weekend. That's really what the platform is designed for. That's the majority of Turo. There's just a handful of people that are turning it into a business and scaling it to a big size. So it's still kind of a new thing.
Yeah. And do you think it'll continue to grow over time?
I do. And the reason that I think it will is because of the experience that you get in Turo versus a traditional rent-a-car company. I get to rate the guest, and the guest gets to rate me. So it's just that layer of accountability where the host goes the extra mile to take care of the guest, and the guest goes the extra mile to take care of the car. That, I mean, our whole thing here is designed around the experience that the customer gets. If you said you've gone on Google, like we take good care of our customers. We have a handwritten card that we put in the car for them, so when they get there, it's literally a paragraph of us thanking them. It's got all our contact information, QR code, and they get a unique car. So it's not your traditional 6-cylinder Challenger. You can have a G-Wagon, you can have a Rolls Royce, a Corvette, like all these unique cars that you typically wouldn't get. And the access to them is much better than getting your luggage, getting on a bus, going to wait in line at the terminal, going to find the car. With this, it's just in the garage, like you had parked had you have just left your own car at the airport. So it's a much better experience that they get versus a traditional rent-a-car company. So I believe, in my personal opinion, that Turo is going to do to these rental car companies what Uber did to taxis.
I believe it. Or what Airbnb did to the hotel industry.
Exactly. Yep.
And really, Turo is the Airbnb of cars.
It is.
When you think about it, right?
Yeah.
And they're not even a publicly traded company yet. I believe that maybe at the time of people watching the video, it might be, but
could be, yeah,
we'll have to play it by ear, right, obviously. So talk to me about that airport thing really quick, just because I'm curious. Like, are you the one paying the airport fee? Like, because I know it costs, like when I go to the airport, it costs a lot of money to leave my car at the airport.
Yeah. So they get you. So when somebody rents a car and has it delivered to the airport actually gets a cut of the whole rental contract, as well as parking fees while the car is there waiting for the guest, and while the guest drops it off, waiting for us to pick it up. So they make money off of it as well.
How much money would you say you pay the airport every month?
We pay over $4,000 a month in parking.
Wow. Just at the airport?
Just in parking.
So $50,000 a year to the airport to run the Turo operation. You've got to love it. They definitely get you, right?
That is a line item on the P&L.
On every individual P&L. So if you were brand new to the Turo game again, would you go the luxury route or would you go like the Fiat route?
So I actually started in the luxury route, but I wouldn't recommend that now that I have the experience of doing it. What I ran into with buying luxury cars from the get-go is I couldn't afford real nice ones. So I bought the $20,000 BMW or Mercedes that still had that $100,000 feel to it. And I realized very quickly why it was $20,000 and not $100,000 anymore, because they're maintenance heavy and they're expensive to maintain. And so although I did well at it, if it were me talking to myself when I first started again, I would recommend that you start out with cheap, economical cars that are easy to maintain, easy to find parts for, especially now with COVID. People are still recovering from gathering parts to fix cars. So I would stick to that to start.
Yeah. What do you think the number one mistake is that either you've made personally or that you think other people would make if they were trying to get into the Turo game?
Yeah. In this business, I think the biggest mistake that people just don't talk about is they mistake cash flow for profit. And they'll go out and buy a brand new C8 Corvette for $50,000 over sticker. They go, well, I'm making $500 more than my car payment, I'm doing good. And what they don't realize is 5 years later, that depreciation has to be paid for. And they're gonna be upside down in the car, and they're gonna be stuck with it. They're gonna owe more than it's worth. So that's probably the biggest thing that people don't take into consideration. Second being maintenance for cars, how much it costs to maintain a car. I see a lot of people on social media hyping up Turo and buying certain cars, and I only laugh at it because I've been there and I made those mistakes. And I know that you're going to do good initially, but then you're going to get hit with that big bill, and there went all of your profit, And so it's been a learning experience. This is a new thing as far as a business is concerned with Turo. And so there's really not a whole lot of good quality content that you can find on the internet about how to start from scratch, how to go through steps, because we've both scaled businesses and we know when you start a business and you expand to the next level, you got to throw the whole rule book aside and you got to write a new one for that. And so it's been an interesting experience doing that with Turo, going from, one car I bought on Craigslist in Glendale to 150 cars now.
Pretty wild. Yeah. And we might change that for the people watching, in the future. You might change that, right? Maybe putting out some educational type of stuff. But what would you say the worst car you've ever bought was?
Oh, wow. I bought on Craigslist a 2015 BMW M6. Yep. And man, was that an electrical nightmare. It had, for every trip, I had it break down twice. Like, that's how bad it was. So.
Wow. Do you think it's just a BMW thing?
BMWs.
I noticed you don't have any BMW.
We've got a few.
Okay.
There's a lot of variables that go into a car's dependability. A BMW can have some cars that are super dependable and some cars that aren't. So it's unfair to label a whole brand bad or good. And then you could take a really good dependable car and a prior owner that didn't take care of it. So, but if you were to look at it as a whole, those cars I try to stay away from. Most people just won't do their research when they get a car on Turo and look at the depreciation and the maintenance.
Yeah.
And those are the things that end up getting them, that got me. And I'm speaking from experience, not that I didn't know that going into it, but now I do a lot of research when I buy a car and I make sure it's something that I can get parts for. It's not gonna cost me an arm and a leg to fix. It's not gonna be down forever. And when I go to sell it, when am I gonna sell it? What's it gonna be worth at that time?
Yeah, you almost have to look at all of that before you ever pull the trigger. On buying a car, right?
Yeah.
What all goes into your detailed P&L for a car? Like what does that kind of look like, just objectively?
Yeah, so it's going to show the income from the car, which is obviously all the trips from Turo, and then all of the expenses. Every time one of us on the team uses our card, it gets categorized to a particular car.
Wow.
And so you can see this is what got spent on gas, this is what got spent on tolls or tickets or maintenance, oil, all that kind of stuff, because you have to do that to really find the cars that shine and the ones that don't. So I've got a breakdown that I do where I look at what did I invest in the car, what is it bringing me per month, what's that percentage rate, and I compare it against all the other cars, and I'll stack them at the end of the month and I'll see the ones that give me the highest return on my money and the ones that don't. And you just gotta, it's a game of getting rid of the ones that don't do well and buying more of the ones that do. And that's why you see 50 Fiats out there.
Literally.
I never would have thought that I would have 50 Fiats, but I do.
And you like the Fiat over the Prius?
Yeah, there's no battery there, no electrical stuff. We don't pay for gas, so it's not a big deal. Plus, most of our cars are American, European, and our shop is suited to maintain those cars.
Yeah.
So we haven't even actually tried a Prius yet. I'm sure it does good.
Maybe.
But the most popular car, believe it or not, here in Arizona is a Tesla Y.
A Tesla Y?
A Tesla Y.
Really? I would have never thought.
Yep.
I noticed you don't have any though.
We've got two Teslas, but no Ys. We've got a Plaid, and we've got a really older S-Class. And they do okay, but we have other cars that do well, so I just never really bought more of them.
The Plaid is a cool car.
It's a remarkable car.
0 to 60 in like 1.9, right? Like, I mean, I'm surprised that when people rent that, do they know what they're getting themselves into in terms of the sheer, you said that you got sick one time.
Yeah, I think most people think, oh, cool, I'm going to go out and do a 2 minute 0 to 6, or 2 second 0 to 60, and they don't realize that your brain has a hard time handling that acceleration. And I have a friend who's a semi-professional driver, and he took me out in it, and I dropped my phone. I lost feeling in my hand and dropped my phone and almost lost consciousness.
Wow.
So they're wild.
Oh, yeah.
And for it being the fastest production car ever built by mankind, and it's a 4-door sedan, it's kind of funny.
Pretty wild. Elon definitely was trying to prove a point there.
Yeah.
You know, for sure. Well, I won't keep you much longer. What is if you don't mind me asking, what is like one of the best months you've ever had with Turo in terms just top line?
Yeah. Granted, we've got a lot of cars.
Yep.
But
150.
yeah, we celebrated this spring over 200K a month in completed bookings.
I love that.
So obviously that's gross, but a good month. Yeah.
Phenomenal month. Well, and I think it gives, you know, people an idea of what's possible, right?
Yeah.
And even if they did 10% of that, you know, and you have a little operation, maybe you run it from your house, and I'm sure that would probably be your recommendation to somebody like getting started. You know, you probably don't want the overhead and the mechanic and the car wash guy, you know, because it would eat into their profit, right?
Yeah.
But it gives people an idea of what they could do, assuming they ever wanted to, right?
Yeah, I mean, the natural level of progression for Turo is when you first start, you are the mechanic, you are the delivery driver, you are the customer appreciation person, you are the delivery. You wear all the hats at once, which is good because you need to know how to do all those in order to hire somebody to delegate that off. So yeah, when you start out, I had them just parked in an office that I worked at, and I worked out at my office for another company that I had, and the bills were minimal, but it's just economies of scale.
Yeah, for sure. And now you're thinking about maybe eventually getting a new building.
Yeah, so we've got an offer on a property right next to the airport where we hope to have our own gas station, wash bay, and be 4 minutes from the airport.
And potentially have enough room for what, 500 cars?
500.
Wow.
Now it'll hold 500 cars.
Do you
At
want
any
to get
given
to that
moment,
level?
we have at least 30% of our cars gone. So I can probably have 600-700 cars for that location. So.
And the number one in the country is at like 1,000?
1,000
but
cars.
Do you even have the desire to get that big?
Yeah, but they have 8 locations. Last time I checked, they have 8 locations. And that takes a lot of managing and infrastructure to build out. So I'm perfecting one location first, and then from there, hope to duplicate into other locations.
It'd be very cool.
Yeah.
Well, where can people find you if they want to rent a car, if they're in Arizona?
Yeah.
What's your website? How do they find your cars on Turo? How do they get a hold of you?
So our website is youcanrentme.com. It's all spelled out, You Can Rent Me. And our Instagram is @YouCanRentMe.
I love that. YOU Can Rent Me.
Yep.
I love that. And how do they know, like, should they go to the website? Like, because if they go to Turo, are they going to know that they're renting one of your cars?
The only way that they will know that is by the backdrop being the American flag. All of our car postings have the American flag in the backdrop. But if you go to our website, it will direct you to Turo, but just show you all of our vehicles.
I love that. Very cool. Well, Brandon, you have an incredible operation, an incredible business that you've built, and I'm just honored. I'm grateful that you allowed me to come and tour it. For everybody watching and listening, I really appreciate you. Where can people find you personally if they want to get a hold of you?
Yeah, my Instagram is just my full name, @Brandon Bartron, Bartron. Not Barton.
Very unique.
A lot of Bartons,
yeah,
but not too many Bartrons, so @Brandon Bartron.
I love it. Yeah. Incredible. Well, thank you so much, Brandon.
Yeah, love having you
Greatly
guys.
appreciate it,
Yeah.
and we'll look forward to hopefully doing more in the future.
Cool. We'll see you again soon.
I love it.